When I first started training, I wasted a good 2 years making mistakes. I was training hard, I was eating well, but I wasn't really making any progress. And it was only once I learned how to build muscle properly, everything changed and my physique blew up. The truth is, I learned from my mistakes, and I want to share these things that I've learned with you. So in this video, I want to share with you 8 tips that you can start using right now to help you build muscle faster, so you don't have to feel like you're wasting your time in the gym anymore. Let's get straight into it. Okay, so here are the 8 tips for faster muscle growth. Now, before we get into it, it's important to realize how muscle is actually built, okay? And this is something that is confused with people a lot, okay, over time. So how muscle isn't built is the first thing we'll go through. And things that muscle is not built from is getting a good pump when you're in the gym, or the time under tension that you have in some sets to some degree, or training 6 times a week and just training and doing tons of training to try and build muscle, okay? These things alone are not how muscle is built, but how muscle is built is through a process called mechanical tension, okay? Now, mechanical tension is the force exerted on muscle fibers when they contract against the resistance. So when you're pushing weights in the gym, you're doing a bench press or a chest press, and you're pushing the weights, the muscles in your chest, the muscle fibers in your chest are under force from the weight when they're contracting to lift the weight, okay? But the mechanical tension is produced, or is it stimulated, only when the tension and when the force is at a certain threshold and it's high enough, okay? It's only stimulated during the last 5 to 7 reps of a set to failure, okay? So if you did a bench press for a set of 10, and that 10 on your 10th rep, you could not possibly get another rep out, even if you tried, then the last 5 to 7 reps in that range are the reps that are going to produce that mechanical tension, which will stimulate muscle growth, okay? Now, that can sound a little bit confusing. So to break it down in basic terms, you need to be lifting heavy and you need to be pushing to your max to build muscle. And that will bring us on to tip number 1, which is lifting to get stronger, okay? So you want to be training in the gym with the intent to get stronger over time, okay? So when you're lifting to get strong, you're pushing as hard as you possibly can, okay? And when we're looking to push as hard as we possibly can, and when we're looking to increase the weights that we lift over time, this is exactly what we need to stimulate that mechanical tension so you can grow, okay? So if your focus in the gym is to push more weight over time and get as strong as possible, while you're doing this, you're also going to help produce that mechanical tension, which is needed to grow muscle, okay? Hope that makes sense. And things you can do to help with this is, number 1, you can push to failure on your last set of an exercise. You can record the weights that you lift with the intent to increase them over time and get better and better over your time in the gym, whether it's week on week, month on month, session on session even, to some degree. And the third thing is I like to use a 12-10-8 rep range for this, where we kind of slowly build up to our heaviest set, which will be to failure. So an example of this is what I do with my clients is your first set of 12 is a set that is at a moderate difficulty, heavier than a warm-up set. It's a little bit difficult, but you've got a lot more in the tank. Then we move up in weight, but we move down in reps. So we do a next set on 10 with a heavier weight, which is going to be harder. It's going to be more intense, but again, it's not going to be an all-out set where you couldn't get another rep if you tried. And then on to the last set of 8, which we're going to pick your heaviest weight and we're going to push as hard as we possibly can. Hopefully, you won't be able to get another rep after that 8 reps there, okay? And that's a good way that you can try and structure your reps and sets to lift more weight in the gym, so we can focus on getting stronger, we can focus on building muscle faster, all right? Number 2 is don't fear carbohydrates, okay? Carbs are not the enemy, especially when trying to build muscle, okay? Your body's most readily available energy source are carbohydrates. So consuming more carbohydrates in your diet will help you have more readily available energy, okay? And with this more readily available energy, this will enable you to push harder in the gym, lift heavier, and you can build muscle faster. A lot of people fear carbohydrates and think, oh, carbs are gonna make me fat. etc., etc., etc. And a lot of it's a myth. The only thing that will make you fat is eating too many calories, more calories than your body's consuming over time. But the individual macronutrients alone, carbs, protein, fats, they're not going to make you fat at all unless you are eating in a calorie surplus, okay? So carbs are good, carbs are your friend, carbs are going to give you energy so you can lift more weight in the gym, yeah? And if you can lift more weight in the gym, you can get stronger. If you can get stronger, you're going to build more muscle over time, all right? Number 3 is sleep. And this is one of the most overlooked aspects that can help you in all areas of life, really, okay? And these are just a few ways that it can help you build muscle, right? So the first thing is that sleep helps your body recover from training, right? So when you're training in the gym, you are giving your muscles a stimulus to grow, and your muscles actually do get broken down in a sense as well. And sleep will help you recover from this faster, okay? Because when you're in a state, when you're in that sympathetic nervous system, that is when you're like rest and recovery system, where you're resting more, your body is focused on refueling itself, pushing blood around the body to pump nutrients around the body and help recover your muscles and recover your body from the stresses that it's been through in the day, whether that is your training. It helps your body grow muscle as well. Again, when we're in that rest and digest system, this is when the most growth is going to be done. A lot of people say that the building muscle is done in the gym, and the stimulus is provided from it being in the gym, training in the gym, but muscle is actually built when you're resting, and especially when you're sleeping as well. That is where the new tissue is going to be developed and added to your body. It helps you feel more energized, sleep. If you're more well rested, you're more energized. And if you're more energized, you've got more effort to push in the gym so you can train harder. And it helps with your mental clarity too. And the mental factor and the mental side of things is big when it comes to building muscle in the gym, because you have to go into the gym with an intent to lift, an intent to train hard. And if your mindset is not clear for that reason, if you're feeling a bit mentally fatigued, then you're not going to be able to push as hard as you can in the gym, are you? So if it improves your mental clarity, you can push harder in the gym there too. And all these things are going to help you build muscle faster. And that is why sleep is definitely on this list. Number 4, protein. This is an obvious one. Everybody knows it, okay? So what protein does is, in very basic terms, is protein breaks down into amino acids, okay? These amino acids will help you build and repair muscle, okay? So if we're getting enough protein in, we can do this process optimally, and we can recover as quickly as possible from our training and as efficiently as possible, and we can efficiently build muscle when we do give stimulus from our training, okay? So a standard is, and what I use with my clients, is to eat between 0.7 and 1 gram per pound of body weight in protein. So if you weigh 200 pounds, 200 grams of protein is a max, and that times 0.7, I'm not that good at maths, I'm not that quick at maths, will be the minimum target. So as long as you're in that range between 0.7 and 1 gram per pound per protein in body weight, that is all enough that you should be eating, yeah? And what this will allow you to do, when you get enough protein, you'll be able to recover better from your training that you're doing in the gym, so you can recover and you're fresh and you're ready to go and train again. And also, you can build new muscle more efficiently too, and you can build it faster if you're eating enough protein and you're recovering better. Okay. Number 5, caffeine. Caffeine. This is a performance enhancer. So caffeine will literally enhance your performance, right? Helps give you more energy. So it kind of helps raise your heart rate and give you more energy, so you've got a bit more go in you, okay? Obviously, as we all know, when we have a coffee in the morning, it helps wake us up. It helps give us a bit of a boost, all right? And you can use this when you are going into your gym training, okay? Because it will help you push harder. And if you can push harder, you can lift more weight, you can get stronger, you can build muscle faster, okay? So if you see a lot of these points and a lot of these tips here lead to the same process. They help you lift more weight, they help you push harder in the gym, and they can help you build muscle faster. Pardon me. Don't know what happened there. Anyway, so doing things like having a coffee or having a pre-workout before you go to the gym can help with this. Like I say, coffee is full of caffeine. Pre-workout, one of the main ingredients is caffeine in there too, and it's going to help perk you up. It's going to help you even help you focus that little bit better, but give you a bit more energy to push in the gym. Okay, 5 down. And number 6 is your rest in between sets. Okay, so a lot of people get this confused because when they think of cardio, and when people think of doing cardio, it's all about going, and not resting, okay? And the less rest you have when you're doing cardio is considered better in a way. But this is not the case when it comes to training in the gym and lifting weights, okay? And the reason for this is because the energy system that is used, not necessarily when we build muscle, I've kind of got that part, I've typed that out wrong there, but the energy system we use when we're lifting weights takes time to recover before it's ready to go again at full capacity, okay? So the energy system that is used, the ATP system, will take around 3 to 5 minutes to fully recover. So in between your second set and your final heavy set that you're doing, when you're pushing as hard as you can, you want to make sure you're resting at least 3 to 5 minutes before this set so you can feel fresh again, so you've recovered enough to push hard on your last set, which will help you get more output on your set, produce more mechanical tension, and it will help you build muscle faster, okay? Number 7 is stable movement choices. Now, hear me out with this one, because there's a little bit of depth to it here. And the exercises that you pick in the gym can help you build a little bit more muscle because of stability, okay? Now, what stability is, or the more stability you have, the more force you can produce from your working muscles, okay? And I want you to think of this example to kind of compare it to. So I want you to think about when you're walking on the thick sand at the beach. So you know, if you've been abroad and there's a heavy sand on the beach that you walk on and it's super hard to walk through, it almost feels like a workout in a way, just walking across the beach, compared to walking on concrete, okay, which is pretty easy, unless you can't walk, that is. And this is because of stability, okay? So when you're walking on the thick sand at the beach, the floor is always giving way every single step, so there's less stability on the ground. Whereas when you're walking on concrete, it's compact, it's hard, there's lots of stability, and it's easy to walk on, okay? And we want to take this into your gym training, okay? So, disclaimer, both ways and both types of things here are great, okay? They're both going to help you build muscle, but stable movements are going to be slightly better than the less stable movements when it comes to building muscle, okay? So I'm not saying these things are bad, and as you can see here on the presentation, I'm not saying free weights are bad, I'm not saying machines are good or better in any way. They're both great, they can both help, but machines you might be able to get a little bit more out of, okay? So machines in the gym, they have lots of stability because you're locked into place, and the target muscle is doing all the work. So if I'm doing a bench press, right, on a machine, or a chest press machine, okay, I am locked into the seat, I'm sat down, I'm locked in place, and I'm just pressing, okay? So the chest is the only real thing that's doing the majority of the work. Whereas if I'm doing a dumbbell bench press, then I have less stability, as my body has to work to keep me stable rather than the machine. So when I'm doing a dumbbell bench press, for example, I've got the weights around here, but I have to control them weights from going everywhere else. So I have to use muscles in my body to stop the weights from, boom, falling off to the side, okay? And the less stability I have, the less muscle you want to train, the less the muscle that you want to train, the chest, for example, will be able to produce force. So the more other muscles in my body that have to contract to keep me stable, the less the muscle that I want to train is going to be able to produce force, okay? So that means things like machines, where your body is already locked in place, you can push harder and get more output from your target muscle than you can with free weights or movements with less stability, because your body has to help keep you balanced in between, okay? Both are good, not for 1 second saying that free weights are bad for any reason. You can still build muscle with both, but you might have a little bit more success focusing on more of your work on machines. But there's also other factors you need to include, like your enjoyment and how consistent you're going to be with the exercises that you're doing. If you hate all the exercises that you're doing, you're not going to stick with your plan, okay? But there's something to keep in mind, that machines are good, they're not the enemy, and they're not just for beginners either, okay? Now, the last one is that less is more, okay? So less is more in the gym when it comes to trying to build muscle, all right? And because when you train too much, or if you have that mindset of, I need to do more and more and more in the gym, it's going to be much harder to recover from that. And if you can't recover, you can't build muscle, okay? You can't recover, you can't recover fast enough before your next session when you're training again, and then you're not going to be able to build muscle as effectively, okay? A couple of things to look out for is you don't need 10 exercises per workout. You don't need to be doing loads and loads of different exercises. You can pick 4 to 6 workouts, 4 to 6 exercises. Each session is great, okay? Usually what I do is on your leg days, the lower days, the heavier days, 4 exercises, done. And on the upper body days, 6 exercises is great. Okay, that's all you'll need. If you're using them, you're pushing really hard on your last sets, and you're looking to get stronger over time, that is all the amount of exercises you'll need per session, okay? And you also don't need 6 sessions a week. You don't need to be training in the gym every day, lifting weights. You need to let your body recover as well, okay? I find 3 to 5 sessions is the sweet spot this, and it depends on a few things. It can depend on your experience in the gym. It can depend on how much you love going to the gym and you love training, and it could depend on your schedule and how consistent you can be with it. If you can't find yourself being consistent on 5 sessions a week, then don't do 5 sessions a week. Do 4 or do 3. If you absolutely love the gym and you love going and training in the gym, 5 sessions a week is great, okay? So it all really depends on you, and there's a little bit more nuance to that. But if you've got that sweet spot where you're recovering well from your training and you're not constantly sore every single day, and you're able to push hard and your weights are coming up week on week, you don't need to do any more than that. Find your sweet spot, find that spot that you can be consistent with, and this will help you build muscle faster. Sometimes less is more.
So I hope you've enjoyed this video. They are the 8 tips that can help you build muscle faster. And if you want to watch more content like this, I'll leave a video up right here, which is going through my 5 worst mistakes when I was a beginner in the gym. If you want to watch it, I'll leave it right up here. And if you've not already, subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.